Hey guys, I'm back with the Radiance Films US Subscription update for March 2026. My package actually arrived pretty early, March 14th. Again, arrived in about a week. Packaging was a little different this month as well. Instead of the cardboard box from last month, everything arrived in one of those cardboard wrap mailers. My guess is last month needed the box because of that rigid Japanese Godfather box set, though this time there's a pretty decent sized one as well. Now, this month is a pretty interesting mix of releases. One is from Takashi Miike from one of the craziest years of his career. Another is a Polish film inspired by Citizen Kane. And the third is actually considered one of the great overlooked American neo-noirs of the early 80s. And that's what I'm especially excited about. So let's take a look. First up is Agitator, directed by Takashi Miike. We've seen him before. This is a standalone release for US and Canadian members. Because the film is part of Radiance's Takashi Miike Underworld Chronicles box set over in the UK. So if you're over on this side of the Atlantic, this is essentially how you get this film individually. I haven't seen this one yet, but the story kicks off with the murder of a yakuza member, which sets off a power struggle between rival factions. What's interesting is that this film takes a look at both sides of that conflict. The street-level gangsters carrying out the violence, and the higher-ranking bosses manipulating things behind the scenes. As I mentioned before, Takashi Miike is one of the most prolific directors working in Japanese cinema. The man has directed well over 100 films across just about every genre imaginable. Horror fans probably know him best from movies like Audition and Ichi the Killer, but his filmography goes everywhere from yakuza films to musicals to children's movies. And one thing that makes Agitator pretty interesting is that it came out in 2001, and that might be one of the most insane years in Miike's career. In that same year, he released Ichi the Killer, Visitor Q, and The Happiness of the Katakuris. So he was operating at an almost unbelievable pace during that period. In this release, Radiance includes both the theatrical version and the 200-minute extended cut, which until now was only available in Japanese VHS. That alone makes this release pretty notable. There's also a new interview with Miike and a commentary by Tom Mez, who has written extensively about Miike's work. And honestly, that might be one of the reasons why Radiance included this title. Miike has a very dedicated fan base, and collectors who follow his work tend to want everything that he's done. Yeah, I don't blame him. So this feels like a really natural addition to Radiance's growing lineup of Japanese crime cinema. If you're trying to picture the tone, again, think something along the lines of Japanese yakuza epics from directors like Kinji Fukasaku. I think we're all going to enjoy this one. Next up is The Dancing Hawk, which is completely new territory for me. This one is a Polish film directed by Grzegorz Krolikiewicz, who was known for experimenting with unconventional visual compositions and storytelling. The film follows a peasant son who rises through the ranks of post-war Polish society as the country transitions into a socialist system. But the film questions what that upward mobility actually costs, particularly whether success in the new system means abandoning his identity and roots. One of the biggest things that caught my attention about this release is that it reportedly took inspiration from Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. So you're looking at a rise to power story that eventually turns into a character study about ambition and corruption. From what I've seen, visually this movie looks pretty striking as well. The cinematography is by Zbigniew Rybczynski, who later won an Academy Award for his experimental short film Tango. Radiance actually includes 2 of his early short films in this disc, which is a really cool addition because you get a broader look at his work beyond the feature itself. The film has also been restored in 4K by the Polish National Film Archive, which is always encouraging when it comes to titles that haven't had much international exposure. So this feels like a very typical Radiance discovery, the kind of film that might be well known in its home country, but isn't widely available elsewhere. Really curious about this one. And finally, the one I'm probably most excited about this month, Cutter's Way. This is one of the films that I thought about picking up over the years, but I kept holding off hoping that a boutique label would give it the full treatment. And now Radiance has done exactly that. This film stars Jeff Bridges as Richard Bone, a laid-back drifter who might have witnessed a murder. His friend Cutter, played by John Hurd, becomes convinced that a powerful oil tycoon is responsible and pushes Bone into a dangerous attempt at exposing the truth. The film was directed by Ivan Passer, who originally came out of the Czech New Wave movement in the 1960s, before eventually moving to the United States. Like a lot of filmmakers from that movement, Passer had a lot of interest in characters who feel alienated from institutions and authority, and that fits perfectly with the tone of this film. Cutter's Way is often described as a post-Vietnam, post-Watergate neo-noir, capturing that early 1980s mood of disillusionment and distrust. Radiance really went all in on this release too. It's presented from a brand new 4K restoration in Dolby Vision, and this is actually the first time that the film's been released on 4K UHD. There are multiple archival commentaries, interviews, and an 80-page book with new writing about the film. It's a big book. Honestly, this one feels perfect for the Radiance catalog. They've been building this reputation for releasing smart crime films and neo-noirs, and Cutter's Way has quietly developed a reputation of its own for being one of the great overlooked entries in both of those genres. If you're trying to picture the tone, think something in the realm of films like Chinatown or The Long Goodbye. Cynical, character-driven, and very rooted in its era. So that wraps up the March releases for the Radiance US membership. A really interesting mix this time around. Japanese yakuza cinema with Agitator, a politically charged Polish drama with A Dancing Hawk, and an overlooked American neo-noir with Cutter's Way. And as always, these titles are available individually with retailers like Diabolic, Orbit, Grindhouse, and others if you're not part of the subscription. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next month when April's shipment arrives.